Welcome to the finals of the ESL Open Cup for the European server. It's time for a best of 5 series of Terran versus Protoss. It's back! The polar bear! It's back! Well, obviously you already knew it was gonna play, right? It's the finals of the ESL Open Cup Europe. Obviously. Spawning right here in the bottom left corner. Game number 1. We have none other than Liquid Clem, once again adorning the polar bear on the main command center. For some reason, it had disappeared the last few times I've seen Clem play. You guys must have gotten to him. Yeah. Make sure to tweet at the man whenever the polar bear disappears. His opponent in the top left-hand corner, playing with the red Protoss pieces. You know him, you love him. We're looking at none other than MaxPax's main Nexus. These two have been playing against each other over and over and over and over and over again. And I've been really enjoying it. It seems like they've been going back and forth with maybe a slight advantage for Clem as of late. But honestly, it's really hard to say. We're starting off on Amphion as well. Already a bit of a funky map number 1. These two have been mind gaming each other the entire time. They've been trying to trick the opponent into loads of annoying strategies as well. This time around, apparently, it'll be no different. We're gonna go for an NG block. Yep. Cheeky little engineering bay right over here where that Nexus is supposed to go. Usually what Protosses do is they save up a 20 supply Cybercore, 20 supply Nexus. Probe is gonna arrive perfectly at 400 minerals to build the structure, and he can't. This is already so annoying. Yeah, what do? Do you take the third base? Do you go for the option over here? Do you make a Zealot instead and kill the NG bay? I feel like this is one of those builds that, especially if you're a ladder hero as the Terran here, you should always do this against Protoss. Protoss, okay, little secret for the Terran players watching this. Protosses hate this. They hate this. Yeah, you can just cancel the structure, get the majority of your money back. Obviously, it also delays the command center for the Terran itself. Single gas opener here for our Terran, who is going to be building the command center inside of the main base. So there's a couple of different ways in which Protosses can change this out and how they can prevent some of this from happening, but all in all, Protoss is very build order dependent, and this is quite annoying for them to have to deal with. Eventually though, the command center, or the Protoss command center, it will come out. And a Stargate is coming up. Yeah, it's one of those threats I think that's better the lower the opponent's rank is, if that makes sense. Like, at this level, it shouldn't make much of a difference, because MaxPax has got a massive range in his playstyle. But if you are below MaxPax's level, and let's face it, you probably are. Unless you're MaxPax. I don't think there's really anybody quite at that level. Maybe Hero. But basically right below the pro level, for like 99.999% of the player base, it is a super annoying strategy to have to deal with. Alrighty, so nice scout here as well by Clem, who's gonna see indeed that it will be, a Stargate opener, but not one with oracles. It'll be a Phoenix first. Clem actually saw that as well. It's gonna confirm, yep. See exactly what's happening. Okay. Orbital command will be made on the low ground. Command center pilot just installed. His first order of business is to fly that structure around for a little bit. Always fun. Alrighty. Good old Phoenixes. We don't really see a ton of mass Phoenix openers anymore. Or at least most of the time it seems to be Oracle into Phoenixes. Phoenixes is pretty much always followed up with Robo Bay, although you can go into a Twilight Council as well. I'm assuming we'll see Phoenix into Colossus here from Max. A little bit of a dance here in the middle of the map between these two players. Here's Jimmy's arm. There's one of his legs. Poor guy. Well, you know what? The medevac actually gets found. And that is going to be the end of that medevac. Yep, and that's costly. That's really sweet for MaxPax. Clem wanted to continue putting his foot on the gas, and apparently he will send his units across regardless. Dangerous trip right here for these units, because there's a good chance that they will get cleaned up. Are we gonna go Robo Bay yet? Or will we be going into, I don't know, for example, a third here anytime soon? Difficult calls to make. Obviously, at this point, Clem's scouting is gonna be pretty much non-existent. He can scout with his entire army if he would like to, but that's really about it. He is doubling down, by the way, on, yeah, additional barracks production here for now. No third command center yet for our Terran player either. +1 coming up. These guys are so aggressive. Usually, whenever I cast a TVP, it sometimes can feel like I'm covering time until Stimpack +1 and combat shields finish up, right? That's usually, as a commentator, that's the amount of time you need to talk about unrelated stuff. Or maybe you could cast a game. That's also an option. But anyways, after casting many of these TVPs, that's usually when the game properly begins, you know? But then for these two, they've already been going back and forth, fighting each other. These guys are so aggressive. It's funny too, because Clem doesn't do this against every Protoss. MaxPax doesn't do this against every Terran. But they see what their opponent is. And apparently, yeah, we roll up our sleeves and we are ready to fight it down dirty. Ready to start wrestling in the mud. Third Nexus coming up. Robo Bay on the back of this too. MaxPax looking to extend his thermal lance. Very critical. I'm assuming, yep. Ooh, he started it up. And then he canceled it. He wanted to get a Colossus going first. And then we'll start it back up here in a moment. The most exciting boost in the medevac ever to go across the little mineral field. Clem doesn't yet know about this base, but he must have realized that the expansion on the right was not taken. So it's not really quite possible for him to still be on 2 bases, so he will find this. And forcing the cancel on this base would be really nice. Stimpack is not yet done. Oh, that's a little awkward. Normally at this stage in the game, that upgrade is long done. But he can't actually stim in there and tap that Nexus to death. Third command center, building on location here for Clem. And it looks to me like we are settling in for a nice little macro game. Both players tried to end this game at like minute 2. Yet here we are. Everybody can see you, dude. It's like a child playing hide and seek over here. Everybody can see you, Probe. You're not as suspicious or not as invisible as you would like it to be. One problem here for MaxPax is that he does not have his thermal lens extended. Yeah, it needs to happen. That's +2 range for Colossi. +3? Anyways, it's range for the Colossi. Now he starts it up. But normally you start that one up as the first one is building. He started it up before he started up his very first Colossi, and he canceled it, and then he forgot to begin it again. Luckily for him, this is a fight up a ramp. Quite difficult for Clem to really bait out the engagement. Luckily here for MaxPax, he can absorb many attacks. There's a lot of... Now, I don't know if you should make MaxPax jokes. I don't know about that. Anyways, what I'm saying is, considering the ramp, he can still absorb a lot. So, yeah, even though Clem didn't even test for it, it would have been possible, I guess, for the Terran to stim up that ramp. Problem is he doesn't know that the ranged upgrade isn't researched, and even honestly, if it wasn't, it's still quite difficult, right? Half your army gets sliced up by the force fields, battery overcharge. I think that's a moment where Clem could have potentially won the game, but he didn't know that his opponent made a mistake. And that means that we're gonna, yeah, tiptoe around the map for a little bit more, or a little bit longer. Fourth Nexus, building as well now at the 9 o'clock position. Clem may very well be thinking about taking that base over there in a moment. He could go for the high ground too, but he already parked his factory out there. Alright, So, this is where the gateway explosion will kick in for the Protoss. It's been quite a delicate game so far. Ultimately, though, Clem's army is just massive. Protoss has the better units, but does he have enough of them? That's the question. I mean, into a choke point like that, the Colossi can deal a lot of damage. They do need something buffering in front of them. We really do have a warping available right now. I wouldn't mind seeing a warping coming up. Okay, one of the Colossus falls. Nice targeting right there by Clem, who's doing a really good job microing backwards, trying to mitigate that splash damage. Nexus here will certainly die. In the meantime, we do have a bit of a distraction too, but reinforcing Terran units will make use of their guns. Lovely work right there by Clem. The leftover Vikings still trying their best just to shoot at those Colossi whenever they can. Fourth command center indeed building as well now. And this is... yeah, this is going from bad to worse right now for Max. It's just one of those games where he's never really got going. Like, he's been defending, sure. He's been able to deal a little bit of counterattack damage with the Phoenixes and all that. But he's been on the back foot ever since that engineering bay block. Maybe I'm overselling you on the engineering bay block, but ultimately it's allowed Clem in the driver's seat since like minute 1. It's been up to the Terran to do whatever he likes. Whereas MaxPax is like, ooh, oh no, don't hit me there. Okay, that kind of hurts, but I guess I'll defend. Right? And then we're defending. It is a viable way to play, but at some point you have to come out swinging. And so far, that hasn't really happened here yet for Max. Fourth command center is done. Fourth polar bear has joined the battlefield. The only thing, I guess, going not perfectly here for Clem is that his 2-2 is late. He forgot the armory. Or at the very least, he didn't prioritize it. Couple of widow mines here. Hiding. Chucked between those mineral fields. Maybe they can catch a probe transfer or something. Okay, here comes MaxPax. Ready to do a bit of damage. Zealots in the main base. SCVs are already running preemptively. Clem scouts the expansion that is now building on the right side here. Reinforcing Terran units will be able to make short work of that, and the Nexus ends up going down. This is still an army, though, that can take on the Terran. Yeah, really no good reason for Terran to stick around here. He's obviously distracted, too, because there's Zealots all over. Not just in the main base, but also in the natural. One of them just got cleaned up over at the 4th. So Clem certainly overstayed his welcome there. But if Protoss is stuck on 3 bases and you have 4 bases here as Terran, there's really no good reason for Clem to be aggressive. +2/+2 is now coming up, and he should be able to be maxed out by the time that those upgrades finish. Normally you stay at home until those upgrades are close to done, but not Clem. Not against MaxPax anyways. We have units, we fight. Nice job right there by those ghosts. Nice splits right there, though, on the Marines and the Marauders. And now with all the Colossi gone, the Bio army is way too big. The Vikings, they land on the ground. Clem does not want his opponent to ever have a 4th Nexus. And I think this is the 4th Fort Nexus. And it will also not be happening. Golden Aura, game number 2. No engineering bay block this time around from our Terran player. Protoss, though, going across the map. They're not gonna go for a pylon block, right? Thing about pylons is that they always build to 100%. Unless you cancel it, I guess, but it's not quite as nice as an engineering bay where you can just build it to like 99% and then cancel it at the last second. Get the majority of your money back. So blocking a command center doesn't really have the same, you know, it's not quite as impactful. Plus, of course, command centers can fly. So even if you do plant down a pylon over here to mimic the engineering bay block, it doesn't really matter. Terrans can just build the command center elsewhere and then fly it over. Alright, so MaxPax never really got going on Amphion. He never really was in a position where he was able to be in control of the game. He did well overall, but ultimately he just got clamped. It's what Clem does really well. It's a tiny little snowball, but the momentum usually keeps going in favor of Clem. When he sniped that 4th base for the very first time, I think that sort of sealed the deal. Because MaxPax's army just, at least relative compared to the Terran, it just never up to par. Yeah, nobody is as good at Clemming people as Clem is. We should make that a verb. He's getting clemmed? Yeah, could be interpreted in a weird way. MaxPax is this time around gonna go for a Twilight Council. I would really like to see him do the good old 4-gate Blink Stalker. I haven't really seen him do that over the course of the last couple months. He used to win games straight up with just 4-gate Blink Stalker and a Prism. Nobody else was really finding as much success with that build as MaxPax was. But I guess the downside is that he accidentally trained his opponents to be better at it. Yeah. It is gonna be Blink though. On a map like this, you can get away with... So we do have the Adept going around. Quite annoying. 2 SCVs already. It's accepted its fate though. You can get away with just 2 gateways into a 3rd base. That is something we see MaxPax do quite frequently. Technically a bit of a risk though, but he's seen that this is a relatively safe opener as well by the Terran. Both players, by the way, end up losing a couple probes. A couple workers, maybe a 3rd. Oh, misclick by Clem. Gets it the 2nd time around. Alright. Yeah, so just 2 gateways here, together with a robo facility. And I'm assuming we're gonna be seeing a 3rd base here momentarily. I mean, he doesn't necessarily have to yet, but he needs to make a move soon. Good scout here as well by Clem. He's checking. He sees the probe. I honestly think that's pretty much all the info you need. When you see a probe patrolling like that, the only reason is if this was a double gateway start. That's really the only thing that makes sense. So, a little bit of greed right here for MaxPax. His absorption will not be quite as good this time around at this stage in the game, but he should be okay. Matter of fact, dropping the main base, by the way. Getting a little bit of damage done. Stalker! Ooh, nice blink. Perfect blink. Really lovely blink. Ay, 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 ay. That was hot. That whole sequence there was actually pretty nicely done by MaxPax. Considering, so that's the downside of only having 2 gateways, right? You just don't have a lot of unit production. You just have very few units. So you have to be on point with your blink and all of your micro. Does come at the cost of 4 probes right there though, but he got the medevac and the marines, I think it's fine. 7 probes right now in total is kind of a lot, but keep in mind that this 3rd nexus is really quick. So I think he can make up with a few chrono boosts. Where's that Raven? There it is. All the way on the far left side of the map. It's gonna probably park right over here. Auto turret back. Auto turret back. Auto turret back. Right? This is something we see from these units quite a bit. When it's not a Stargate opener from Protoss, and I don't have a couple Phoenixes flying around, it is a powerful strategy. Just gotta not all army, okay? That's the main downside of the Ravens. If you all army them, they will go around. Technically speaking, there shouldn't really be anything that can counter them here. Okay. Colossus transition coming up. Charge. We have a Forge. In the meantime, here's those classic... The holy trinity of Terran upgrades. The classic combination. +1 infantry weapons, Stimpak and combat shields. Big power spike for those biological units coming up in just a moment. Let's see. I'm assuming Clem will make a bit of a move out, but he now also knows exactly what it is he's playing against, and exactly when you try to fight a Colossus-based army with just Marines, and it's not really that many yet at this point in time. It can be quite difficult to achieve much. Medevac move out though? MaxPax is on point. Ooh. Did he... Hold up. Did he see the Medevacs loading up? So second Medevac is just about to pop? He sees it boost? That's all he sees. And then the Stalkers are going for the interception. Nicely done. There's really no reason, I guess, for the Medevac to boost right there. Maybe that's just something worth noting right there for Clem. Maybe wait a second before boosting it. Anyways. Oh, miss rally right there on the Stalker. That one came back around. Alright, the Terran upgrades are finishing. 2 of them are already done. Third Command Center will be flying on over to the low ground, but this is where Clem is going to start testing the waters. Golden Aura, of course, very defensive map. Hard for the Protoss really to take critical damage. I would manage it, but I would imagine Clem will be having a hard time against MaxPax here. Unless he wants to take a 4th base right now. Okay, he's taking this very serious. Could we not wait like a little bit longer? I guess he's afraid of the Terran just parking their army out here. Extended thermal lens, by the way, is done this time around. This is once again looking really good right now for Clem, right? I mean, these little moves, they get the snowball rolling. It's not a massive advantage at this point, nor do I think it's necessarily going to win him the game, but it might be the beginning of it. This is the first time that MaxPax has been hindered in this game, and that's because he wanted to already make a 4th base, and he just hasn't now. He's gonna start it up eventually. There is certainly opportunity, though, for Terran to try and force a cancel on it. 2 additional units full of... Or 2 additional Medevacs, rather, full of units coming up. Cancel on that base. Auto turrets in the back of the natural expansion. Couple probes end up going down. This is that additional kick that the snowball needs. The Clemvalanche coming across the map. Snipes a couple of sentries, kills a few of the zealots. No counterattack in the meantime whatsoever. MaxPax fully focused on defending this. And you know what? This might just be game. Zealot run by, or Zealot surround, not really achieving much either. Another Colossus is now building. That's Colossus number 4. That's mostly because the Viking count is currently non-existent. Look at the supply. Yeah, really lovely done here by Clem. Really lovely work. Hard to really criticize any of his decisions here. These Zealots are now starting to look a little desperate. They need to get into that base and get something done, but you know what? They may very well get spotted, and if these guys get found and surrounded, that would be an issue. There is a Medevac run by, though. Ready to move into what will probably be right over here in the natural. Zealots do get recalled all the way down south again. MaxPax is going to attempt a 4th Nexus at the 6 o'clock position. At the far bottom of the map. Clem hasn't seen that one yet? No, he has. Wow. I think it must have been the Raven. Is the Raven still around? Raven's still around. Maybe it saw it, or maybe there was just one unit checking this sort of thing out. Now that the 3rd Command Center, though, is, well, done and going for quite some time, it of course means that Terran's gonna go into the Ghosts. And those Ghosts are gonna be insane. Against clumped up Protoss units, doesn't really get much better. The Zealots will have to create a major distraction. Terran trying to get into position over here. Zealots are mostly uncontested. Okay, a couple SCVs have already gone down. 4th Nexus, though, is now disappeared. And Clem is now going to max out. +2/+2 in the meantime. Solidifying the advantage. Yeah, it's funny. With Clem, you can oftentimes pinpoint the moment where he starts getting a hit, and then he rarely gives away an advantage. Rarely do we see him fumbling a lead. Sometimes it takes like 20 minutes. But this has been Clem, yeah, solidly in control of the pacing of the match. Still though, one good disruptor hit and MaxPax might very well be back into this, but this is very much so him sitting here trying to just slowly macro up. He is currently putting all of his eggs into just making a big army, right? One basket full of eggs, and that's all we're gonna do. Big army could be good, right? Maybe? 7 probes go down. This one Raven now responsible for 13 kills. Attempt number 4 at getting a 4th Nexus going. Siege tank somehow survived that Nova. Viking count is currently up to 7. There are 4 Colossi, but there's a lot of Marauders. 27 Marauders. As long as he dodges the Novas, I think he should be fine. Zealots ready to go for a run by once again. Reinforcing Terran units, I guess. Oh no, we're gonna try and surround them. There's the Nova coming in. Zealots from the back do not get the flank off. Another Nova. Also dodged. Lovely work here once again by the French Terran. Yeah, Clem is looking absolutely lethal in this series so far. He's maybe getting a little over-eager. He doesn't really need to do this, for example, before +2 infantry armor is done. It finished up in the middle of the engagement. He already had the +2 infantry attacks, but oh my god. Absolute domination right here by Clem. Oceanborn is next. Game number 3 in this best of 5 series. And already match point for Clem. I'm not even sure what you do here as MaxPax, if I'm being honest with you. Like, you look at these games so far, it's not like MaxPax is making any significant blunders or whatever. It's like a small little mistake. And it just gets the ball rolling for Clem. Clem is looking incredibly strong here. Not sure exactly who could do anything about that sort of early game, to be honest. Like, yeah, you have to basically play flawlessly, right? That's one of the criticisms that I see people have of the TVP early game. Protoss makes a mistake. Usually it's game over eventually. Might take another couple minutes, but usually if Protoss makes a mistake, game over. Usually if Terran makes a mistake, we go to the mid game. It's very fragile. Like the early game for Protoss, you're dancing on a tightrope while trying to juggle a couple balls as well, right? You're trying your very best. To be fair though, if you play really well, if you play really cleanly, usually you do find yourself with a small advantage. The margin for error is absolutely tiny. And so far, well, MaxPax has just been getting outplayed. This is good. Yeah. Getting that unit going here without like losing. I think he lost like 3 probes or something. He did lose 1 adept apparently in the meantime too, but previously he lost a couple of his probes to the very first Reapers as well, which is not quite optimal. All right. Let's see, what can we do? How many gateways are we on? Just 2 gateways, with a 3rd one building as well as a robo facility. Another gas geyser will be coming up. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, good old 1-1-1 right here for Clem, who's gonna bring one cheeky little medevac across the map. One cheeky little Widowmine drop. Bit of aggression. Bit of a skill check. Shouldn't really do anything, but sometimes, just sometimes, you can get something done. There's that Raven again. Raven in the previous game was so good. You know what's better than 1 Raven? Maybe 2 Ravens. Yeah, honestly hard to say. Doesn't really add nearly as much as that first one, I guess, but when you see a Raven like that getting like 20 kills over the course of a game, feels like a bit of a no-brainer. Alright, here we go. Bzzz. You were the chosen one. I'm sorry, buddy. You got to make a pylon, so at the very least you got a bit of a promotion before your death. That's something, I guess. There goes the Raven again. There's one, what is it, an adept? Okay. Siege tanks in position. MaxPax is very good when it comes to the Stalker control. Don't think there's really anybody better at it than him. Blink Stalker micro is tough. The sky is the limit. Ooh, getting the council over here is nice. Woo! Guys! I would like to report MaxPax getting something done in the early game. Something that Clem would have rather not seen happen. Can we now capitalize on this? Maybe continue fighting. That is a pretty significant issue though for Clem. Who's now, able to do some counterattack damage with that Raven. That Raven going to town. Stalkers have disappeared down to the low ground. Would like to see these 4 Stalkers load up and maybe hunt some more SCVs or something like that. That's usually what MaxPax follows us up with. Raven in the corner. 5 confirmed kills. It'll be hanging out there. Double green light has been spotted. 2 tech labs full of upgrades. MaxPax getting one of them would be nice. You can see immediately this game starts rolling a little bit. Yeah. Now rather than Clem getting a small lead by like minute 5. Now MaxPax has a small lead at minute 5. Okay, gets a siege tank, picks up the weakened Stalkers. Nice little bit of control, blinking backwards. Trying to keep as many of these units alive. Alright. Yeah, this can take the wind out of the sails quite a bit, right? So we have Stimpack, Combat Shields, +1 infantry. It will still finish. Obviously, eventually those upgrades will still be done. But not quite at the timing that Clem was really hoping for. And now he's lost 17 Marines as well in total. Excellent sequence of events right there for Max. Did he just get the Raven? No. That Raven is untouchable. Stalkers in the main base right now. 2 SCVs, not bad. Couple of Stalkers a little overeager. Look at that guy. He got shot in the top left and corner of the map. Floats up in the top right. Alright, charge is done. Or at least very close to finishing up. There's a chance, of course, here that Max is going to be able to double down. 4th Nexus coming up at the 6 o'clock position, right around the time that Clem is taking the 3rd. So MaxPax continuously 1 base ahead. This is exactly what he's hoping for. Robo Bay coming up. +2 is researching in the forge. 1 Zealot leading the charge, and he's going to sacrifice himself, but at least the Zealots can clean up that Widow Mine. Clem is still going to try and see if he can go for a move out. This is now MaxPax who's the gateway man. Rather than being reliant on 1 or 2 Colossi, he's just got numbers at his side. A little dangerous, sure. We will be going into Colossus eventually, but... Gets the mule. 1 SCV? Yep, gets 1 SCV as well. Okay. The next minute or 2 will still be quite dicey for MaxPax. But this is certainly the best situation he's been in all series. Second engine bay, armory, Ghost Academy coming up. Zealots moving all over the map every time Clem tries to do a move out. This is like the 3rd time now that he has to retreat. Gets the council as well on the 4th command center. Every time he tries to do a move out, MaxPax moves in with a couple of Zealots. Clem has to go back home. Extended thermal lens coming up. Double upgrades will soon be in play as well. Dark Shrine is researching right now. Everything's coming here. Everything is coming up. Still though, supply advantage here for Clem. He's got about a 16, 17-ish supply lead as far as the army goes. That is something worth noting. +2 armor starts up first. Hello, Clem. Studying Bjorn's game plan? Okay. Doesn't matter much. +1 air weapons also coming. Clem, by the way, recently playing a lot of Battle Aces. The new RTS game. He, the beta just ended actually, but he, I think he ended in the #1 position on the ladder. Which is quite impressive. Mixing his time between a couple different games, no big deal. Just be good, I guess. Turns out RTS players are really good at RTS games. Yeah. Yeah, who would have thought? Okay, Disruptor's coming up. We have the Shadow Stride research coming as well for MaxPax, who I don't think plays anything but StarCraft. I'm pretty sure MaxPax only plays StarCraft. Addicted to the game. Alright. Novas? One of the Colossi did float to the surface just now. Ooh, nice set of force fields. Somehow they did not get EMP'd yet, and that does make life a little bit easier. But good stabilization here as well, though, from Clem. Clem now finding himself with a solid amount of income. He's maxed out. He's going to finish up the 2-2 upgrades. I have seen many Terran players crumble under this pressure here from Max. But Clem is managing it well. That's not a Colossus. Yep. Disruptor. Dodged. Ah, Clem is insanely good, man. Ay, ay, ay. You look away for a second and suddenly Clem is like 30 supply up. And obviously MaxPax can easily remax this for now. His income is still significant. 5th Nexus just finished up in the bottom left-hand corner. Clem is starting up the additional command centers at this point. Raven going around, trying to get some damage done. Popping a couple of auto turrets. One of the zealots there gets clipped by the Disruptor Nova. +3 armor here for Clem coming up. We should see +3 attacks. Now we're also going to go into some Dark Templar though. There you go. Protoss players feel good when they warp in 10 Dark Templar at a time. Yeah. Word on the street has it that Protoss players don't feel anything until they warp in 10 Dark Templar. Then they're, yeah, get a little bit of endorphin going again and then straight back to feeling nothing. Just like every StarCraft player. The Zealots, ooh, no, the Dark Templar, I mean, dealing so much damage. Blink, slice and dice up that command center, and suddenly the CC has disappeared. I CC no longer a CC. In the meantime, though, the Terran army is on the hunt. They know where the majority, the bulk of that Protoss army is located, and where is the rest of that army? It is sleeping over at the 3rd base. The entire Protoss force gets cornered. A couple of the units do get recalled out of there. Dark Templar in the meantime, though, just dealing damage wherever they can. They're still hanging out. A couple of Zealots running by as well in the natural expansion. Purification Nova does clip a few of these Terran units in the butt. Or in the butt. Doesn't matter. Raven coming in. Would be nice. We have some energy. Yep. He's waiting until he can drop at least 2 of them. Okay. Dark Templar are actually such a core unit these days. You'll love to see it. 27 SCVs just fell. That was a clutch recall, though, by MaxPax. If he didn't get that recall done, I think this would have been very difficult for him to recover from. Now all of the Disruptors, by the way, are going to be the splash damage here, so we don't really have any Colossi anymore. Dark Templar have joined up with Zealots. He's going to have to scan, or EMP. Okay, he does get that done, but in the meantime, command center on the left side of the map has disappeared. And I think with that snipe, Clem is forced into an all-in. He's probably going to wait until 3-3 is done. He's gone into the Liberators here, but he just doesn't have income anymore. He starts up another CC. Okay. MaxPax's army is still about 20 supply behind that of Clem. That's just because there's barely any workers here for the Terran. Nice Novas. Really good Novas. That one over there does not quite complete, but there's more where that came from. MaxPax is bowling with 12 balls. I don't know what the rules are, but that might be a little much. Medevac drop in the meantime on the right side of the map. 4 of them will unload. This Nexus is going to disappear. Yeah, more balls is better. That's what I've learned. If you just bring like 2, not enough. You need to be able to constantly keep rolling them. Try to hit a strike on that Terran army. Can we get another strike? No, he doesn't need it. Clem is still marching though. My god, Clem is actually still doing this though. I feel like Clem has been up with his back against the wall ever since like minute 6. Ever since those Blink Stalkers came in. Ever since the Stimpak got sniped. Clem is doing a phenomenal job though, staying in this, and he's certainly not out of it yet. But he needs to get something done very quickly. The next minute or so is critical. Lips gets sniped for free. Clem is very broke. He's got basically no income, but his army is still bigger than that of the Protoss. Medevac drop going into the natural expansion. This is a desperation drop as now the Stalkers target fire down the Medevacs. One-way trip for these Terran units. There's still more over here on the left side. Oh, look at that. That's it. GG. Upon losing all of his ghosts in one Purification Nova, Clem has had enough. He rips off the Band-Aid and MaxPax gets a point on the board. Alrighty. Site Delta. It's going to be next. So far in this series, it seems to be whoever gets a tiny little lead by minute 6 is the one who obtains the victory. Both players had to fight for it. But we'll have to keep an eye out on whoever is ahead in like 3 minutes from now. It's going to be a Twilight Council opener once again for MaxPax, so not opting to go for any sort of Stargate shenanigans anymore, it seems. Just straight into a whole lot of Blinky boys. Alright, Clem, what's going to be the name of the game for you? He went 1 Marine straight into a reactor on the barracks without any sort of scouting whatsoever. Against the proxy gate, this could have been an issue. Luckily for him, no proxy gate shenanigans this time around from MaxPax, although he has been going for that quite a bit again. Straight blink. And I'm assuming because of that, we will see a 3rd base here in a moment as well. Starport is going to finish up. There's a couple of Cyclones available, which is quite interesting. Cyclones, generally speaking... Yeah, maybe it's because he went scoutless. Generally speaking, not the weapon of choice for Terrans, but... That's Clem we're talking about. It's basically a glass cannon unit, right? He loves glass cannons. Okay. Advantage for MaxPax, confirmed. He killed 1 SCV. He's hunting for the 2nd. Nice little mini game right there. Ultimately, it's just a single one. We are going up to 3 gateways here. As per the standard. Triple gateway, a robo facility, and then we will see a 3rd Nexus here momentarily. Blink is going to finish up soon, and that'll be something that Clem must be aware of. So there's backup coming in right now as well for these Cyclones. Medevac is here. Let us see. This is a squad of units that is really quite good at taking down the Protoss at this point. He's looking for a 3rd Nexus, but the 3rd Nexus is not done yet. It hasn't started yet, so... Yeah. MaxPax will not be starting it right now either. All of the Stalkers will be brought to the front. I don't really love this here for Clem. I mean, we can do Prism versus Medevac Micro, sure. Oh. Oh my god, he kept that Terran squad alive for such a long time. I mean, ultimately this is gonna be cleaned up. Oh, he gets the Medevac out. I did not think he was gonna get the Medevac out. If this Medevac goes home, that would be amazing right now for Clem. Alright, 5 minutes in. 5 minutes into the game, Clem is ahead. Really lovely sequence of events. We have a medevac here pretending to be a warp prism. Ridiculous micro, actually. Keeping a lot of these units alive. I mean, he kept as many units alive as there was room in the plane. Liberator now coming in as well from the right side. Medevac here distracting these Protoss stalkers. Bunker at the front will get shut down. Oh, move command over here. Was waiting until that second shot would be just about to fire before blinking away. New stalkers will try to go after the Liberator, but the Liberator lives for now. Okay, the additional production will be coming up. Engineering bay here as well. Clem will have to deal now with the stalkers in the main base. And this is the type of build that MaxPax has been working wonders with for quite a while now. Just 4 stalkers in a prism. It's not much, but it's honest work. A lot of Protoss units are still occupied trying to shoot units out of the sky. But ultimately the money has been spent on a 3rd Nexus. Isn't it insane actually that in general in medevacs there's only room for 4 like Marauders for like you don't have a lot of space. How big are medevacs according to the lore? I feel like if the Marines scooted over just a little bit, they could fit a couple more units in there. Okay, he wants to go for the same move as he did in the previous game. Oh, and he gets it. Yep. Stimpack has been denied at the cost of a single Stalker. Certainly worth it. Again, taking the wind out of Clem's sails is so critical. A lot of very low HP Stalkers, though. Yeah, a lot of these are like 1 siege tank shell away from death. This is the medevac from earlier. That Liberator's still out of range. So it will be parking 2 Stalkers, I guess. That's the plan. Stimpack has been restarted again, though, for Clem. Combat shields, +1 infantry weapons. Everything's coming up. Stalkers in the top section of the map just now get sniped as well. Prism still lives. Jimmy, no! Jimmy's already gone. Is that Jimmy's face? Oh my god, was that Jimmy's face? Maybe. This game is brutal, dude. Gore everywhere. Insane. Alright. Let us see. Where do we go from here? This is quite a good game so far for Clem, but not really the lead that he was hoping for. He will have to wait a little bit longer until he can really do a move out. I think he's going to be using his army here to secure the 3rd Nexus, or command center rather. Although he could certainly try and go for a push. Problem is, if he doesn't secure the 3rd, these Stalkers are going to be extremely annoying. No Robo Bay yet, so that means of course that there will not be any sort of Colossi transition for our Protoss just yet, meaning that it will just be Stalkers and Zealots and a couple of Immortals. Upgrades are done though for those units. Where can Clem park his siege tanks, right? So we do have a Dark Templar. Nice scan right there. Forcing 1 scan though is already quite good. Zealots trying to split. Not quite getting the value, but Terran army is forced to retreat. Prism flying through everything. This was a really nice deflection, actually. The fact that MaxPax cleaned that up so handily. Not bad. I think the Prism eventually fell. Now he's the one, ready to go in for the counterattack. Supply count pretty much dead even. One of the siege tanks is going to fall before sieging up. Second siege tank is gone. Widow Mines do blow up a lot of the Zealots, however, and MaxPax decides to retreat once more. Clem really wants to get that Immortal. Not quite capable of getting it just yet, though. Oh, medevac, misrelic, maybe all army hotkeyed a little bit. I no longer see the Liberator on the minimap either, so maybe that one also got pulled away. He does eventually get the Immortal. We have one Colossus coming up, but not quite yet. Clem is probably gonna back off though. Yeah, those Zealots, they are so annoying, right? Those Zealots are not easy to clean up. A lot of Widow Mines here, parked right in front of the siege tank. Good defense right here by Clem. In the meantime though, the 4th Nexus is finishing up on the other side of the map. Ranged is coming for the Colossi. We'll probably have to see a 2nd Engie Bay and a armory here in a moment as well for Clem. Although for now he's just going to try and push forward with the units that he's got. 4th Command Center fired up. And there's the Ghost Academy. Got ourselves the Blinky Boys. Followed up with more Blinky Boys. Stalkers into Blink Dark Templar. This will be the first time that he sees the Colossi properly. Still enough Marauders to contest this, but now there's a bunch of Zealots in the main base trying to be a nuisance. Widow Mines apparently have been tasked with killing the Prism of all units. Kind of tricky to pull that one off. Okay, if he can get the kill on the 4th Nexus, that would be amazing. The micro here has been good by Clem, but I just don't think he's got the numbers. Okay, gets a Colossus, not bad. Couple Zealots now, coming in with the flank. Siege tank takes a bit of friendly fire. Clem is going to retreat, now that he literally has more medevacs than attacking units. Okay, more aggression coming right up. Dark Templar is trying to see if it can potentially block this base for a little bit. No blink available for him just yet. He still had to learn how to do it! His brothers will learn though. Shadow Stride is finishing up in 10. Zealots in the main base. MaxPax may very well be looking at a supply advantage. I think that's the first time in this series. Oh! Are we gonna get there? Oh! No, no. Not quite. But he did kill 14 SCVs. 16 SCVs even. And that suddenly means that Clem is forced to make a decision. Do you just sit back here and try to push with your army? What exactly is the best course of action here? Because if you sit back here and you're just slowly rebuilding your eco, you know that MaxPax is going to start pulling further and further ahead as far as the economy goes. 2nd Robo facility coming up. +2/+2 coming up as well for the Protoss ground army. In the meantime, do we have an armory yet? No armory? Ah, it's finishing right now. So Clem once more committed to 1-1. A little late to 2-2 because of it. And that's going to make everything a little more difficult. Terran army's big. There are currently 5 Vikings, soon to be 7. 3 Colossi in total. Battery overcharge would be nice over at this newly acquired base. 2 medevacs on the right side of the map. I think they did get spotted by that Prism. But getting the kill on this base would be massive. There is comeback potential right here for Clem as well though, because this game has not been going all too smoothly. He will get pushed over here, I believe. He will get pushed back over here too. Good defense here by MaxPax. Yep. Who stays alive on both fronts. Splitting up his units perfectly there. Disruptors coming up, +3/+3. +3/+3 started up right around the same time as 2-2 began for Clem. So major advantage right there for Max. Now gonna warp in some Dark Templar, couple Zealots inside of the main base. Counter-attacking on the left side. Counter-attacking actually with the units from the right too. That means that this army is no longer set up over at that base. Planetary Fortress is done though on the left side of the map. And MaxPax is probably gonna try and maybe reroute his attack to the high ground here. A lot of aggression all over. But no major struggles here. No major engagements. Alrighty. +1 air weapons coming up. 2nd Starport on the production tab. That'll be an important switch here eventually. We saw Clem trying to go into Mass Liberator in the previous game, but he just barely did not get there. He didn't have the Liberator ranged upgrade yet. He didn't have his proper late game transition going. That will be ultimately, though, what Clem is looking for here. It's quite difficult for Protoss to counter those libs. The transition towards Tempest usually feels quite awkward, so a lot of Protosses do tend to stick around on just Stalkers. We're not quite there yet, but I think that will be the goal that Clem is aiming for. Okay. Another Nexus building on the right side of the map. And in the opposite position on the left, we have Clem trying to see if he can secure a base. But this entire time, MaxPax has been a full base up on the Terran. And because of that, the income advantage over the last 10 minutes heavily in favor of the Protoss. It is reflected a little bit in the supply count and the banks, but not majorly. Obviously, a lot of that is due to those mules. Those mules are very, very handy. Bringing in all of the juicy resources that Clem is looking for. MaxPax actually walking within range right there of the sensor tower. So all of these exclamation points will be within vision for Clem. Big flank being set up right here by MaxPax. Or sorry, by Clem, who's now coming in from 4 sides. You know what's even better than a concave? A circle. Nice dodge right there as well on that Purification Nova. Snipes that next one. My god, Clem. That fight was nuts. The fact that he split against the ones that he needed to split against, but sniped the disruptors that he could snipe there. How did he even see all of that? Whew. Maybe Clem has spec'd into like chameleon eyes or something, and he like can now move his eyeballs independently of one another. I don't know, dude. That was insane. It felt like there were 3 fights being microed at the same time. Whew, okay. And I think that makes this game a whole lot more manageable right now for our Terran. This wasn't looking all too hot. He's still not in a position that we can really call dominant. But that was one hell of a fight by the Frenchman. Oh, this is not a really good engagement though. Yeah, without splash damage, this Protoss army just doesn't really get it done. Keep in mind that while this is all happening, right, Protoss has been ahead as far as those upgrades go. And very soon, about a minute or so, a minute and a half, Clem will be able to bridge that gap. There's no 4-4 upgrades in this game. 3-3 is as far as it goes. So that window, that advantage here for MaxPax is going away. Dark Templar trying to be annoying. Missile turrets though, they are of course detectors. Trying to create a distraction. But MaxPax has been put on the back foot for just a moment. Medevac drop. Clem trying to pile on the pressure. Love this drop. Yeah, there's no breathing when you're going up against Clem. He will just keep going. Fight over here on the right side of the map. Novas do get a decent hit. Oh, he's just running in. He's just sniping whatever he can. There's not enough standing units right here for our Protoss to really be able to deal with all of this. Medevac drop now in the main base as well. There will be a big warp in. That will be nice and all, but still, well managed by Clem. Picks up only when he absolutely needs to. Okay. Yeah, new Colossus was just produced. That's gonna make the game a little bit more difficult for Clem, who will probably be forced to finally back off here. Clem is trying to secure another expansion of his own. And that'll put him in, yeah, even amounts of expansions as the Protoss. New command center, by the way, was built in the bottom left-hand corner too. So Clem is starting to build up those additional orbitals. Okay, Vikings are getting sniped though. A lot of the Vikings are at low HP. That may very well enable those Colossi to deal some more damage. But the Ghosts are making this quite difficult right now here for MaxPax, because the Zealots are not able Together with the Stalkers to do nearly as much work as they did in those earlier engagements that looked very similar to this. No more Vikings up in the air other than just the one. It does snipe one of the Colossi. More of them are coming up. Constant back and forth right here between these two. Small hit squad of Stalkers and Zealots moving towards the left side of the map as well. They can't head for a base that has a planetary. They decide to join up with the majority of the forces instead. Aggressive blink forward right here by MaxPax, who may as well have found an opportunity here to try and overwhelm all of this. The Vikings are going to shut down those Colossi for good, it looks like, although one will remain. Good Stalker control once again. SCVs pulled away from their mineral lines. MaxPax has now found himself with a supply lead once again. Dude, this is a sick game. Clem's reinforcements ultimately allow him to hold this, but that was incredibly tight. Medevacs now also pretty much without energy, some of them without HP pretty much. That's gonna make those Stimpaks a little bit more costly. We do not have Caduceus reactor or anything like that researched. Losing the Prism here would be making it difficult, I think, for Max. Another big warp in. 9 Stalkers and a Sentry. There's no planetary yet. Ooh, MaxPax, you can go up there, man. He's making the assumption that there will be a planetary in that location. Not yet. He wants to be fighting wherever those units aren't. Once again, though, flank coming in here for Clem. Same location as where MaxPax, well, his main army got destroyed earlier when Clem got an engagement where he came in from 4 different sites. That'll be the end of that Prism for now. Sentry also bites the dust. In the meantime, a Nexus is building in the top right-hand corner. Zealot warp in, together with some Dark Templar in the top right-hand corner. DTs tried to blink in here, but that was quite costly actually for MaxPax. I don't like that move. Oh, Medevacs! 2! Nice targeting there by Max. 20 supply down the drain right there for Clem. Clem though still has a good enough income, I think. Yeah. He was pretty far behind economically, and the trades have not been going as well for him just now, but he finally does have the economy here to go toe-to-toe with the Protoss player. There's some long-distance mining going on the right side of the map, because MaxPax is starting to run out of cash. Okay, here we go again. Is there enough for MaxPax to break through this time around? I don't believe so. No, the Marauders here are staying alive for a very long time. Re-stims all of the units, and he's starting to hunt down the remainder of all of these Protoss units in his army. MaxPax forced to back off. Whew, okay. Yeah, maybe this is the next step? The only expansions not taken yet on this map are the ones that lead towards the center of the map. Clem is thinking the same thing, and upon seeing that that base wasn't taken yet, I think that might make this game a little bit more manageable for him. The worst case scenario right there for Terran is if you find that that base is already fully up and running. He's gonna be able to take down the base in the top right. There's nothing here to defend it. Small squad of Terran units, but they will be able to finish the job. In the meantime, Clem is running straight towards the 3rd base. I'm assuming this is mostly just a distraction to allow his army in the top right to get some real work done. They're already boosting back home. Clem doesn't quite have the resources here to do a proper late-game Terran transition. He would love to go into Liberators, but he just doesn't have that as an opportunity just yet. He's decided to play a very Marauder-heavy style. And I honestly don't mind it. As long as the splits are good against the robo units, it should be manageable. Vikings up in the air, 8 of them. Obviously, it's tempting here to overmake Vikings, to get rid of those Colossi real quick. He does see once again that there are a few indeed produced. First one will go down easy peasy. Nice splits right there on the ground. Second Colossus now also falls. Bio Army here stands its ground. The other ones will split against the next Nova. One of the Ghosts, obviously a unit that can't use Stimpack, does end up getting sniped. Disruptor's move commanded a little bit too far forward, and that indeed means that MaxPax, he gets punished for it immediately. Vikings land on the ground, and just like that, my god, what a skirmish. It's Clem who obtains the victory, 3-1 over MaxPax. These guys, they're pushing each other to the absolute limit. This final game was ridiculously good.